The US dollar index reacted to the latest US statistics hovering around 14 months lows. Weak inflation data and figures on income and spending in the United States increased pressure on the dollar. However, the latest weekly jobless claims report indicated a strong labor market. As we approach Friday, when the US NONFARM payrolls for September will be released, tension in the forex market is likely to become stronger. Now let us find out how macroeconomic reports set to be released over the next 2 days, October 1st and 2nd, may influence the market sentiment. You are watching Traders Calendar. Most central banks overseeing monetary policy and currency yield focus on the two parameters, namely the labor market and price growth. Both factors, of course, depend entirely on the economy's condition, including its global trends. US-based S&P Global collects and analyzes data from over 40 economies worldwide, making their business activity reports significant. Tomorrow we will examine business activity in the manufacturing sector, as it's crucial for a country's economic health. In Japan, S&P Global predicts a drop in this indicator to 49.6 points, which may lead to a decline in the yen. The Russian manufacturing PMI by S&P Global is also expected to decline to 50 points from a 51.1. If these forecasts are confirmed, the indicator will hit a critical mark below which lies a contraction zone, and this will be a negative sign for the economy and consequently for the Russian ruble. According to S&P Global, the growth in the manufacturing sector in the four leading economies has slowed. Thus, the overall rise in the business activity was driven by the services sector. The forecast for Germany aligns with its trend, as the analysts foresee a decrease to 51.5 points from a 52.5. Considering that business activity in the world's third largest economy has been sliding for 4 consecutive periods, there is a little hope for a rise this time. Thus, the euro may weaken against the US dollar. Half an hour after the publication of the PMI data, the Eurozone will issue its inflation figures. The indicator is expected to shrink to 2% or lower from a 2.2. This harmonized index measures the change over time in the prices of consumer goods and services acquired by households. A drop in this indicator signals further monetary policy easing in the Eurozone, which would weaken the euro against the greenback. While the Eurozone experienced a near halt in the services sector, the United States saw a solid rise. This fact influenced price trends and led to a divergence. Thus, in the Eurozone, the price growth turned out to be slow, while in the United States it was rapid. However, manufacturing activity has been in decline around the globe. Thus, the US may see a drop in the manufacturing PMI to 47 points. In Germany, the indicator could remain above 51 points, despite the anticipated drop. This would put the dollar under double pressure, potentially leading to a rise in the euro-dollar pair. However, this downward trend may reverse within just 15 minutes, favoring the dollar. The fact is that the Institute for Supply Management, ISM, is going to disclose the US manufacturing PMI data. Analysts predict a rise to 47.6 points from a 47.2. On a Tuesday, a series of the US labor market report begins, with the Fed Reserve focusing closely on related indicators. The publications may boost the volatility of the US dollar and other assets. The first report will be on the job openings, which are expected to slide to 7.65 million in August. This could indicate a cooling labor market and a cheaper US dollar due to potential further rate cuts by the Fed Reserve. On a Wednesday, the United States will disclose the ADP non-farm employment change data. Economists suppose that employment will increase to 210,000 from 99,000 in September. While these gains are modest and ADP reports often do not correlate with the main non-farm payrolls, Markets may rely on secondary indicators to determine the main trend. Thus, the ADP data may act as a driver of the greenback's growth, but a short-term one. Please note that the time of a publication is set in a GMT plus 3 time. The next video review of a trader's calendar will be released on a Wednesday, October 2nd. See you!